Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning guys, welcome to our talk all about creating effective compliance with Access Accelerate. My name is Jess and I'm a product manager here at Access and I'm joined by Rich.
Hi there, yeah, I'm also a product manager at Access.
Okay, so Rich and I work really closely together. I manage the roadmap for our compliance tools and Rich does the same for our compliance content. So we're always working together to try and make sure that we can create a really good compliance solution for our customers. So we're going to spend just 10-15 minutes today just talking about our top 5 compliance challenges, and they're things that we hear about from our customers all of the time. So we'll talk to you about how Access Accelerate can help you solve some of those challenges and hopefully start to make compliance feel a little bit less scary as well. Ooh, clicker's gone crazy, good start. So we wanted to start with just a bit of scene setting about what is compliance, why is it so important to our customers. So when I think of compliance, I kind of think of it as the things that I have to do. It's not necessarily the things that I want to do or that I'm going to seek out for fun or personal development. It's things I have to do either to keep myself safe as an individual, keep my business safe, and keep my customers safe as well. And usually it's kind of a combination really of all of those things. Do you want to go into a bit more detail, Rich, about that?
Yeah, so I suppose another angle to look at it is the cost of non-compliance. So it's about 2.5 times more expensive not to be compliant, paying the fines, the loss of customers, than it is actually to invest in a decent compliance regime. And learning and development and the tools that surround it, especially for digital learning, really are key to building, a robust compliance regime. And we're going to have a talk about some of the top kind of issues that learning and development professionals and firms come across. And how Access's Accelerate solutions can really help with all of those elements. I would say that events across the globe really do have an impact on compliance. If we look at how quickly new laws, legislation, regulation come in off the back of events across the world, COVID being a big one, look at how quickly new laws, new things came in and how the world and firms had to adjust really quickly. If we think of the conflict that's happening at the moment with Russia and Ukraine and the sanctions that came in really quickly, the heightened cyber awareness risk, they're all elements that require education that firms need to get out to the masses very quickly. And of course compliance is at the hub of that. They need to make sure that they react really quickly, that the information they have is right, that they get it out in a timely fashion, and that they know that it's been embedded in a firm. So we're going to have a talk about all of our solutions and how they help firms do that.
Next slide. Okay. So do you want to introduce our first challenge?
Yeah, so the first challenge is all about the need to get new starters up to speed as quickly as possible. And that can be quite costly, not in terms of just the resource that's required to do that, but you hire new people because you want them to make a difference to the firm and add value straight away. And if you elongate that, it costs time and it costs money to get people in and get them up to speed. So we've got quite a real good set of tools that sets individuals up to success. So Jess, if you want to have a chat to the people a little bit more about what the tools are and how we can help with that.
Yeah, so the first thing we think is really important is you want to set people up for success. Give them a really great, easy to use, easy to navigate LMS with really rich functionality and really great looking content as well. You want to keep everything in one place, like it's so annoying as a new starter, you come on, you've got to go on loads of different systems to get all your training. Keep it in one place. It's really easy in Access Accelerate to create training pathways, keep all your compliance training together. As Rich mentioned, you want to reduce the time to competence, so the amount of time before someone really starts adding value to the business. And that goes both ways. As a new starter, you want to start adding value. You don't want to be sat there for weeks and weeks getting through loads of compliance training. You want to hit the ground running, so make sure that training is available from day one and they can just get on with it and start getting compliant as quickly as possible. And then for you as an administrator, you want to make sure that you're worrying as little as possible about that whole process, really. So you can automate all of the onboarding processes, set up rules with different criteria so that the right people are getting the right training at the right time. So our next challenge, we talked a bit about our new starters, and then what happens next is how do you manage that kind of ongoing compliance? So quite often you need to renew your knowledge, your skills, and be really confident that your staff still know their stuff, right? So you need to be able to manage their ongoing compliance needs. And that can all get quite tricky to manage, like people are joining the business at different times throughout the year. People are becoming more qualified throughout the year, so suddenly they need to do even more compliance. So it can all get a bit tricky to manage. So what are some of the tools, Rich, that we can use it with Access Accelerate to help make that less complicated?
So if we look on the content side, compliance content especially needs to be maintained, needs to be up to date, needs to keep pace with the regulatory requirements, new laws that are coming in, new legislation, and I mentioned earlier about how quickly things can change. One of the really great things about us at Access is that we've got quite a number of various different catalogues, so make sure that you check those out on the mobile apps that we've got and talk to the team about those. We've got one of, if not the biggest, content development teams in any UK software-based firm, and we're really proud to have such a good team that evolves the content, adds new content, and we work with a substantial subject matter expert network to ensure the robustness of our compliance content and that it is always up to date. We regularly publish roadmaps on our content so that people know, our customers know when content's going to be updated, when new content is going to be issued out. And the reason for that is because that's what you build your compliance training plan off. We know that e-learning plays a really big part to get that training out to anybody in your firm at the touch of a button. And we've got software solutions combined with content solutions that enable you to build pathways to issue that out, not just at a company level but at a department level and also on an individual basis. And Jess mentioned we've got individuals that perhaps are in specific job roles where they need to adhere to certain regulations or they need to be up to date with certain elements of law, legislation, or perhaps they might need to submit CPD as a part of their qualification. We've got really good quality tools that enable us to do that. And of course it adds the credibility to our content. If you have a look around the back of the stall, you'll see all of the great partnerships that we have with a number of trade associations in lots and lots of regulatory areas, whether it be financial services, whether it be the care sector, health and safety with ROSPA, the NCA with our cyber content. We're endorsed and accredited by a number of different associations that really tell our customers that our content is at that quality benchmark. And of course overall we're certified by the CPD Association as well, which allows us to ensure that we meet the credible benchmark of what digital learning should be.
Okay, next. Okay, so our next challenge, can I introduce this one? Yeah.
So this is about I suppose everybody has a role to play in the fact that compliance is important, and Jess is going to talk a little bit about culture in a moment. To enable individuals to take responsibility for compliance, they've got to have faith in all of the tools that they've got at their disposal. So we mentioned the credibility of content and the ability of the tools to be able to get that out on time, and we want to make it a pleasurable experience. We all remember having to do compliance training. We all remember having to build MI dashboards, get our hands on quality data. And it's one of those kind of 3 a.m. wake up in the middle of the night and think, it's a task that I really dread doing. The board are asking me for that. Is it going to be up to date? Is it going to be relevant? Is it going to be accurate? And to have faith in all the tools that you have at your disposal will enable people to really kind of take ownership of compliance and have faith in what they've got to be able to do that. The tools that we've got make it really visual and easy to interpret. And again, I would say, have a chat to the team that we've got around, have a look at those tools so that you can kind of see that everything's pulled into one space. And Jess can talk a little bit about that and show some dashboards that we've got as well.
Thanks, Rich. So bright. So we've got loads of great tools in Accelerate to help you really stay on top of your own compliance. So over here on the right, we've got a tool called My Mandatory Training. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. It helps you keep on top of your own compliance training. It's really visual. It uses RAG status, so you know straight away as a user, what do I need to do to get green? And in this example, I'm not green. I need to do some training. It helps me focus on what I need to do next. It's really easy to launch the content from here as well, so I don't have to go to another system and find the training. I can just launch into it here. If I've got the time, I can start getting on with it and get back to green. And then along the bottom, we've got a tool that's aimed more at our managers or our administrators. And again, it's really, really visual. And if you're trying to keep on top of a whole team or a whole department or function, you can see straight away, who's red, who's amber, who's green, who do I need to start having conversations with. If things are about to go, if things are amber, that's a really good sort of nudge to say, maybe I want to start like sending some comms out and reminding people that their compliance is coming up for renewal. And ideally, you'd come in here as a manager, you'd see a sea of green, and you just breathe a sigh of relief, and you can get on with your day job. And then at the top, very bright in red, we've got a kind of overall compliance score, and that's really useful for, we have certain, we work with certain industries where you may even have a threshold for compliance where if you dip below that level, you might not be able to operate, you might be subject to fines. So having that overall kind of indicator of where you're at, 40% at the moment, not so great, you've got to start having some conversations and moving that in the right direction. So all of these tools are just really visual, and we design them that way on purpose, so it's super easy to interpret the data and actually work out what you need to do next. So that kind of brings us on to our next challenge, and this is all about, I need accurate reporting, I need accurate MI. I need to be able to get a complete top-down view of compliance in my organisation at any moment. And then I need to be able to trust that data so that I can share it with my stakeholders. Do you want to talk a bit more, Rich, about the importance of accurate MI?
So typically MI is king, especially when you're looking at compliance, because the output of undertaking training, of following processes, following procedures, doing things in the right way, all of that MI, tells a compliance department that the firm is doing the right thing, that you get the green rather than the ambers and rather than the reds. And that MI data is used for various different things, whether it's reporting to the exec, reporting to the board, or whether or not it's something a bit more public facing. So if a company's a PLC, they'll be building board packs and they'll be issuing that data, out to the market. And that then attracts investors, it attracts, customers to the business. So, it's not just an internal tool, it actually provides, faith to the industry that the firm is doing the right thing. And also, individual level as well. We mentioned earlier on about people having qualifications and the data that they have out of the training that they undertake or the assessments that they have at work. It could be around performance management, KPIs that they're hitting. When you speak to the team here and you have a look at the Accelerate solution and you have a look at some of the tools that we've got in around performance management and the analytics and the dashboard and the data that we'll have out the back of that, that really provides a top-down view of individuals, groups of individuals in departments and the firms as a whole. And Jess can show you a couple of examples of some analytics as well.
So bright. So there's a really great tool inside Accelerate called Analytics. So you've got some, again, really visual, easy to interpret data. You've got your compliance score over there. We built these dashboards with key customer problems in mind. So we've got all sorts of dashboards, and this one is based around, compliance, what we're talking about today, the stuff you have to do. And the great thing about analytics is you can start very top level, and then you can drill into different areas. So if you're interested in a different specific function, job role, how's my health and safety training getting on this month, whatever it might be, it's really easy to drill into the data and work with it on a more granular level. And the other thing you can do with analytics is it's super easy to export it to Excel. So if you're the kind of person that does all these whizzy things in Excel, you can still do that, but you can start in analytics and you know that this data is really credible, it's real time, it's really reliable, and it's just there at your fingertips basically. So again, you've got that overall compliance score, and it just starts to help you work out there's an issue, I need to take some action, and then you can start working out what that action might be. And then our last challenge, so this is something we hear from our customers probably more often these days, and it's about wanting to create this kind of culture of compliance. And what that really means fundamentally is just moving away from this kind of tick box mindset and more towards kind of a collective responsibility for keeping the business really, really, really safe. And I think one of the best ways you can really promote this culture is just start with why. Make sure people really understand why are you asking them to do this training? What's in it for them? What's the kind of what's the benefits for the organisation, but also what are the potential consequences of maybe not getting it right. And what are some of the other ways, Rich, we can use Accelerate to build that culture of compliance?
I would say certainly around the content and making it accessible to all, and making it fit in with the work. We've got a term of phrase, in the flow of work, and that's what it should be. It should be much more of an easier experience rather than something that kind of takes you out of the flow of your work, so you can do it on the go. So whether that's being able to do it on a mobile device, and the actual content and the way that it's built and the way that it's designed, short bite-size pieces of information and content that you can go to quickly, that you don't have to go through an hour's worth of content to find the bits that you want, that you can rely on, that it's credible, it's up to date, and that no matter your ability, that you'll be able to access that content and you'll be able to learn from it. And as I mentioned, we've got a really, really big content development team, which work really, really hard to meet WCAG standards for accessibility, and really innovative in the way that it's designed, so that learners can start to think of it as a much more pleasurable experience, a lot more painless. And if they kind of look forward to doing that, or they don't mind doing that, and the same with the MI and the tools that we spoke about, if it's a much more pleasurable experience, then the culture of it follows, because you actually do enjoy it a little bit more, and it's a lot less hassle, and therefore it's not so much of a dreaded task, and you kind of can move away from that tick box, that I really hate doing that, into something that is a little bit more easier to do, and you're able to do it in amongst the tasks, and allows you. And again, another strap line for access, it gives you the freedom to do more, and more of the job that you should be doing, rather than taking a lot of time out to do the jobs that you hate. And on screen here, and that I would implore you to go over to the mobile devices and have a look at our content, and you can see that it seamlessly transfers between desktop to laptop to tablet to mobile. So it enables you to really kind of do it in the flow and on the go.
Cool. And that's it. So we hope that's given you some great ideas on how you can use Accelerate to kind of solve these really key compliance challenges. If you want to see anything in more detail, do go and talk to the team, give you a demo, and contact me and Rich about any other compliance-related things you want to talk about. And thanks for listening, and have a fab rest of your day at Learning Tech. Thank you.